So since Blocktail's Demo 4 has been out for a few days now, ever since the update dropped, a lot of changes like buffs, nerfs, and even some complete reworks of some cards and items have been put out. So today I'm going to be going over all of them, and then at the end I'm going to be giving my thoughts to some of these changes. So enjoy today's video. So the first thing I want to go over is the first round of buffs. These buffs happened when Demo 4 just released, so I'll be going over this first. Alright, so dynamite damage was increased by 1 point, so instead of doing 4 damage, it now does 5 damage. They also increased the line bounce damage, but damage is reduced with each enemy you hit. So for example, let's say you start off doing 4 damage, then you do 3 damage to the next enemy, then 2 damage and 2 damage. The lowest line bounce can do is 2 damage, so it can't go below 2 damage now. All summoner cards HP now scales with your level and are overall much higher than before. So the issue was like last time summoners were dying too easily and they can only be summoned once. Well, now that's changed. They buffed the HP to all summon cards and they now scale based off of your level. Another buff to a summon card was to Call Gorilla. Now it can be resummoned constantly, unlike the other call cards, but you'll notice that it has much lower HP than the other call cards like Griefer or Cruel King. Free Fire, Ice, and Poison now no longer restrict the ball slot, so that means basically like when you use these cards, you can now also use Ball or whatever ball cards you want. Happy SP and HP now activate every 2 turns instead of every 3 turns, so that's nice. Charge Defense and Slate Skin Potion now have damage taken while you're under its effects. So let's say you use Charge Defense on yourself and then you take 4 damage. Now instead of taking 4 damage, you take 2 damage. It literally just splits the damage in half. Thorns also got a small buff, which is the guard window decrease, only affects melee attacks that can proc the Thorns damage. What this means is, you know how Thorns reduce all attack guarding windows when you equipped it? Now this only applies to attacks that can trigger the Thorns effect. So let's just say an enemy uses a ranged attack, now your guarding window will remain the same, it won't be like nerfed or changed, unless an attack triggers the Thorns effect. Hopefully that made sense. The orange item is also now affected by Item Plus, and it can save players from mortal damage. The SP cost from stacking all cards have been reduced, so now if you stack a certain card like 2 fireballs, it will cost less SP to use now. And this applies to all cards. And another change is the attack stat is capped at -1 instead of -3. So like, let's just say you equip 2 HP drains and you know how that would give you -2 attack. Now it only gives you -1 because you can't go lower than -1 attack instead of -3. Call Red and Blue SP has also been reduced from 6 to 5, so they only cost 5 now. The BP cost of some cards were changed, so let's just go over those real quick. Pity SP now costs 0 BP to use instead of 2 BP. HP and SP Finder now also cost 0 BP to equip rather than 1 BP. Bodycard has been reduced from 2 BP to 1 BP. Happy SP and Happy HP have been reduced to 1 BP instead of 2 BP. Baller and Knight now both cost 3 BP to use instead of 4. And Lucky Star also costs 3 BP to use instead of 4. Prayer also costs 3 BP instead of 4 to use, and SP Wire now costs 0 BP to use instead of 1. Quite a few things were reworked this update, so let's go over those. The charge card now boosts the person's attack by 2, but it also costs 3 SP to use now. When you're using Good Vibes, your damage taken is split in half, and you no longer get interrupted when you sleep. Cure and Resurrect also don't have the -1 attack debuff now, but their cost has been increased to 2 BP. Softener and Daze have been removed from Ball, but now they have both been added to Sword. So basically, they're no longer Ball cards, but they're now Sword cards. Softener attacks now pierces enemy defense entirely, and Daze does half the damage to the enemy behind the target. So let's say you use Daze and then you do 4 damage to an enemy, the enemy behind him takes 2 damage. And now they replace Thorns and HP Finder in the Bizville Buckshop, so yeah. Power Stab costs 2 SP and gives +1 attack instead of +2 now. and Power Shot also costs 2 SP to use now. Pity SP restores the entire party's SP by 5, but now it costs 10 HP to use. Launcher splash damage is now 1 less from base damage, so it's capped at 3 now. Now we're getting into the nerfs, and these are quite a lot. So Launcher no longer skips enemy positions anymore, and Anchor can only activate once per battle, which is a pretty huge nerf. Slingshot now only gives +1 attack when it was +2 before. Baller and Knight have been both moved to Demo 4 shops, which counts as a nerf, I guess. And Sword Toss is now found in the Manor's Catacombs. Lucky Start's dodgy effect has been reduced from 2 turns to 1, and first aid kits can only self-revive once per battle regardless of how many you have in your inventory. Status effects do not apply when damage done is 0, and now the base rolling meter speed has been increased to 2 HP. They also have removed Resurrect pickups in the overworld and removed Cure pickups in the overworld too. They also removed charge defense from enemy item pools and adjusted the shop rotation in the buck shop and in the card shop. They reduced the effects of several items, so let's go over those. Green tea now gives 4 HP/SP instead of 5. Green tea also now gives 0.3 sword energy instead of 0.5. The matcha dorayaki, sorry if I mispronounced that, I just don't know how to pronounce that, but they now give 0.45 sword energy instead of 0.75, and jackfruit has 3 per member now instead of 5 per member. They reduced the max stacks of several cards too, so let's go over those. You can now only have a max of 5 sacrifice cards, 5 resurrect cards, 5 cures, and item plus can only now have 1 max copy. HP and SP finder max has been reduced to 3 instead of 5, as well as happy HP and SP, and HP and SP drain. So all 3 of those cards you can only have 3 of now instead of 5. SP regen has also been reduced to 3 max stacks instead of 5. So all of the changes I just listed, those came with the Demo 4 update, and there have been plenty of patch notes and a bunch of changes after that. So now we are going to be going over those. These past changes happened on June 1st, which is the day after Demo 4 release. So they reduced the Demo 4 enemy damage, so like all enemies, I think they nerfed it, And they added the Kitchen Wizard dialogue for info about the special, which if you don't know is just the grief request. They also added the Firebrand fast travel, which is just a teleport to the location at the end of Demo 4. And they also adjusted the Demo 4 pit enemies, which is basically they just nerfed the pit. Rocket Boots now does level 1 defense down for the purpose of Slingshot synergy, and Snowball does 1 less damage and now costs 3 SP to use. And bosses also become resistant to freeze after they get frozen once. So basically, Snowball and Ice got nerfed heavily. That's the end of the June 1st patch notes, and there was also another patch note update on June 3rd, so let's go over that now. When you buy food but your storage is full, they will automatically be added to your storage, so you don't have to go in and sell your food or delete them now. They also added the update deck button, which lets you update previous decks you have saved. Power Stab now costs 0 BP to use, and Power Shot now costs 1 BP to use. They now have given Shovel a full pierce and now costs 3 SP to use, and they have reworked Aggressor's penalties. And they have adjusted Griefer's ally attack. Your health no longer ticks down when you're in a 30-second thinking time in multiplayer, and they have added a difficulty card for the old behavior. So if you're confused, what this means is like, you know when you took 15 damage and now you're in a thinking phase while you're playing with other people? You know how your health would like slowly tick down? Now it no longer does this, but they have added a card for difficulty if you want this again. They have also changed the floor 50 pit level reward from SP regen plus to defend plus. They have also adjusted the max stack of defender and defend plus. They have also reduced comatose damage by 1, and it's increased to 3 SP. So those are all the up-to-date changes, and yeah, it's a lot to unpack. I don't blame you if you have to rewatch. Overall, my thoughts on this were Sword got a pretty big buff, and I'm actually really glad Softener and Daze got added to Swords because it makes like Daze feel more have more of a variety. And now there's more reason to use sword instead of ball now. But ball got heavily nerfed. Like, the only ball card that wasn't nerfed was line bounce, but that got nerfed last demo. Freaking comatose and snowball. Yikes, that nerf was crazy. But something I am glad about is Defender and Defend Plus all getting their BP cost reduced by 1. And I'm also really glad Resurrect and Cure no longer have the -1 attack debuff. Though they cost more SP to use, which sucks, but overall it's a really good change because now I no longer deal 0 damage when I sometimes want to do damage when I use a healer build. But yeah, that's my main takeaway from these changes. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with some of them? Do you disagree with some of them? Let me know. Thank you for watching and see ya. So right as I finish editing the video, another patch notes drop. So again, let's quickly go over this, hopefully for the last time. So first is Lucky Start. The dodgy effect passive got removed, but in return it also got 3 new effects. One of them is an attack buff, the other one is a thorns buff, and the last one is a focus buff. I'm not really sure what the focus buff does, but I mean, it's pretty obvious what the thorns and the attack buff does. Ghostwalker also kind of got reworked, and the dodgy status also kind of got reworked, so let me explain. Dodgy effect, it used to just like, you can phase through 1 attack that hits you, but now you can phase through a whole turn of attacks instead of just 1 attack. But the level of dodgy for Ghostwalker has been reduced to 1 instead of 2. So for example, let's say you're on pit 49 and 3 trotters uses their Inferno. Since you have 1 level 1 dodgy, you can now dodge all of them for that specific turn, but after you lose the dodgy effect. You still keep the dodgy effect if you dodge though, so. Good Vibes now lasts for 3 turns now, and they have adjusted red and blue's damage and gave them double turns. And they have removed the XP bonus from the TikTok card, so yeah. That's it, and hopefully that's it, like completely it. So thanks for watching and see ya.